So you guys want to know about pre-owned Caymans? Let's talk about pre-owned Caymans. The Cayman is Porsche's entry-level sports car and has a more forgiving price tag than its bigger brother, the 911. According to some, it's even the better driving car due to its mid-engine layout compared to the rear-engine mounting of the 911. So today, we're going to take a look at the values of the entire Porsche Cayman lineup and figure out which model is the best bargain. As with my 911 video, I've compiled data from Kelley Blue Book and NADA guides to compare cars with very similar options. I've done the mileage a little bit different this time. This chart outlines the mileage I've used for each year. These are the default recommendation mileage estimates by Kelley Blue Book. Also, I want to show you guys the difference between the values estimated from NADA and Kelley Blue Book. I've taken all the data from the Cayman S from both websites and graphed them so you can easily see them. You can see a few areas where the data doesn't agree, but overall, they're pretty similar. The data I've used from this video is a simple average of everything collected from the two sites. Now that that's out of the way, let's take a look at the cars. Let's start at the top with the GT4. Only made in 2016, the current market value for the GT4 is about $107,000. The press car that made its round through most car reviewers was priced at just under $105,000. But you could get one with the same options as the other ones we're looking at for under $95,000. By looking at the chart, it appears that the car is appreciated in value. But we need to remember, these cars were marked up significantly by the dealers. If you look on Porsche's pre-owned search, you'll see that most GT4s are going for about $110,000 to $125,000. I think these price hikes are representative of that initial dealer markup. Now eventually I could see this car actually appreciating, but the market needs to level out and adjust for those markups, so the Cayman GT4 has a few more years of depreciation ahead of it. The GTS is the next car on the Cayman hierarchy. Only offered in 2015 and 2016, the GTS base price was $11,000 more than the Cayman S. However, the GTS came standard with 20-inch wheels, sports chrono, PASM, sports exhaust, and a ton of other cosmetic options. When the cars were new, if you compared a GTS with an S model that had the same build, the GTS would only be about $2,400 more than the Cayman S model. So what does that mean for a pre-owned shopper? If you remember in the 911 video, options don't hold their value. So since these features come standard on GTS, a Cayman S with the same build is going to depreciate a lot more than a GTS will. This is great news if you bought a GTS brand new, but not so good if you're looking for one on the used market. Now let's briefly touch on the 2012 Cayman R. The market has it priced a little too high at the moment. The car wasn't that much of an improvement over the Cayman S at the time, with just a little more power, a little less weight, different looks, and a sportier tuned suspension. The current market value has it listed at $56,500, which is about $9,000 more than you'd pay for the same year Cayman S with very similar options, or roughly the same price as a 2015 base Cayman. I really couldn't see myself spending that much money on a 2012 Cayman R when I can have a 2015 base Cayman for nearly the same price, even with the extra horsepower and bigger engine that the Cayman R has. Now we're down to the base and the Cayman S. Some of you may have noticed that there's no data for a 2013 model. That's because Porsche didn't make a 2013 Cayman in the US, or at least I couldn't find any evidence of it. Now, unlike the 911, you'll notice that the depreciation curve of both the Cayman and the Cayman S is relatively linear. The base model actually depreciates slightly more than the Cayman S over the first 2 years, but after that, the S model depreciates on an average of 0.6% more per year over the next 5 years than the base model. As with the 911, you'll see slight bumps in value during the 2009 refresh, but no real steep jump between the 987 and the 981 models. I think we need to compare these curves to the 911 to see what's going on here. Take a look here at the 911 Carrera in orange. This is where the depreciation curve flattens out, and we found that sweet spot for value. In comparison, the 981 Caymans were released in 2014. The absence of a 2013 model has caused the curve to appear linear between generations. Now I would bet if a 2013 981 Cayman existed, we'd see that same flattening of the curve as we do in the 911. Now when you really start to compare the 911 and the Cayman curves, two interesting trends start to emerge. The first is a huge initial depreciation of the 911. I don't think the Caymans see the initial depreciation hit as the 911s because they're such good cars at such a competitive price point. For just under $55,000, you can get a Porsche with a very similar interior and just a little bit less in performance than its $100,000 big brother, the 911. In that sense, the Cayman really is a bargain, especially if you compare it to other sports cars in the same price range. The second trend you notice is at the end of the curve, the 911 really flattens out and holds its value much more than the Cayman does. The Cayman just doesn't have the pedigree and the cult-like following that the 911 does. The 911's been around for over 50 years and has a history unlike most cars on the road. You're going to see it hold its value much more than the Cayman, with some models even beginning to appreciate as they age. With all that said, we really didn't find any sweet spots with any of the Caymans. That means that the newest car you can get for the amount that you want to spend is going to be your best value. Now if you look really close at the chart, you can see the curves flatten out just a little around 2010 and 2015. Technically, those are going to be your best years to buy, but there's such a small flattening area that I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference for you. Personally, I'd go for a 2014 certified pre-owned Cayman or Cayman S with as many options as my budget afforded. Now I wish I could have given you guys something a little bit more definitive, but the data just doesn't show it. Overall, stick with the Cayman or the Cayman S, depending on what motor you want. Stay away from the R, and hold off on the GTS and the GT4 for now. So that's our rundown of the Porsche Cayman. If you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up or leave a comment below. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content in the future. Thanks.